For the last year, one of the biggest concerns free-to-play players have cried to the heavens about is not having enough teams to compete with in-game. The lack of raw power from Season 1 agents and how most of the low-cost teams that could keep up with the in-game required way too much effort or technical skill to pilot. But as of right now, at the literal start of Season 3, most of you already own the best free-to-play team. Best? Strongest? Whatever. The point is, you just don't have the last piece yet.
Are you tired of losing? Are you tired of losing those 50-50s to bullshit? Well, don't worry, big dog, I got just the deal. Let me show you a popular website that helps gamers buy more for less. Not only can you score games for less, but they've also gotten a partner top-up services, meaning you can buy your pulls cheaper too.
Oh, that's nice.
On top of that, Aniba offers something else I haven't seen any other site do, a 10% cash back with each purchase. Now I get cheaper pulls and my money back. But wait, there's more. Using my link in the description box will get you all set up to start saving more money today. Now get out there and go pull that new character.
In one of my previous videos, I briefly mentioned just how impactful an agent like Pyrois was to the game. A brand new DPS that every single player has access to permanently and still hasn't reached full power yet. The devs even did you one better and offered up his signature W engine just by completing the exploration event along with his mindscapes. This unit having a semi-complete kit with self-buffing, energy manipulation, the rare totalize ability, his own disk drive set, raw power, and one of the most versatile DPS in the game is absolutely insane. I mean, you can't get any better than that. Just in the last 3 weeks alone, Pyrois has cracked consistent results over 30 to 40k at zero cost. Not too many DPS can say that, especially if they're free. Anything higher than 4 cost starts breaching kill territory, which opens up a lot of doors for players that don't have an endless roster. His ability to go toe-to-toe against bosses with a mostly positive matchup is also huge for free-to-play players. Another thing about Pyrois is that he's still missing half his power. We don't have full access to the left branch of his ultimate, his mindscapes are still missing, and he doesn't have his dedicated third support. Air quotes feel really weird when you do them in whatever. Still, without that support, he works with over 10 different agents alone, each providing their own combination of teams at low to high cost. Even with all of that, he's still the biggest blessing free-to-play players received since the Haramasa and Miyabi patch. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. There's another character that everyone gets at the beginning of the game that I've been speaking quite highly of since the last beta, and that beauty is none other than Nicole. Not only does she provide crazy support value with her assortment of different disk drives and W engine options, but she also drops the crit rate requirement for Pyrois down to 57%, allowing you to run an attack or crit damage force slot for even stronger damage output. She overall is insane for players who are willing to learn how to pilot her, saving them tons of pulls when it comes to building specific teams to get the job done. Obviously, keep in mind that there are very few teams that breach that threshold of 50 to 65k when using Nicole. Basically, what I'm saying is don't expect Nicole to be a replacement for Suna in a random run you saw on the archive site. So Pyrois is free and Nicole is free, but we still need a third unit to complete a team, right? Thankfully, our third and final piece is about to be here. Norma, our latest fire stun agent. Yes, I know, another one. But in her defense, she is what I would consider the most consistent stun agent in the game right now for most players. In comparison to Dialyn, who is a lot more of an active stunner, Norma is a passive stunner who handles most of the job off field. Like Norma versus Defiler. That's a bad matchup for her because Defiler has an absurd amount of I don't want to get hit phases that would ultimately make Norma's passive days build up wasted on empty space. Contrary to that, we have Notorious Pompey, who is probably her most favorable matchup. He's fire weak, can be interrupted with her dozens of turret attacks, will consistently be stunned no matter what, and the constant chain attacks she gives to your DPS will help against the boss's mechanics throughout the entire fight. This allows players to continue learning the game from any level of skill and keep more focus on whatever their main DPS is doing. This is especially important for a DPS like Pyrois, who is already a much more technical character to pilot as it is. Norma brings her own personal damage that contributes upwards of 20 to 40% of team-wide damage, depending on your DPS. This is big for most players, but especially important for players who are just starting the endgame and beginning to understand the ropes of it all. I do have to make a small note here that Norma's personal damage is heavily influenced by her signature W engine. Not having it drops her overall performance down by almost 40%, but her team-wide contribution only drops about 15%. Her days isn't drastically affected, and in the case of having multiple copies of Hellfire gears, the days will even outmatch her sig. Then finally, her most notable gimmick is having access to free chain attacks whenever her meter is filled. That part's great for any DPS agent that has amazing chain attacks like Evelyn, Cecilia, and even Starlight Billy. So personal damage aside, what makes Norma the missing piece that I'm talking about? With a combination of Pyrois and Nicole as a free-to-play DPS and support, along with other free-to-play options like Soldier 11, Lucy, Zhao, or Minato, Norma's versatility to work with a large majority of the free-to-play cast is incredible, and because of her own personal damage having such a high output for a stun agent, it means that a DPS like Korn or Minato no longer need to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. There may be some specific breakpoints in here somewhere, like using an M3 Soldier 11 as a baseline, or comparing Bonway and Minato, but that kind of stuff you'll have to dig into a little on your own. I know some answers about certain characters' performance, but not all of them. Alongside the versatility she has, the little gremlin is also future-proof for almost 90% of accounts. Just by going over everything we already listed, she works with such a large part of the free roster that any given player no longer has to stress about whether a character is landing on the banner back to back. Now what they're able to do is properly plan out their pulls with enough time in between banners or during the anniversary, so grabbing future comps is easy and guaranteed. This ultimately is leading me into why I believe Norma is the perfect agent for every free-to-play player to pick up. Well, that's true unless they knew specifically they were going to invest into Remiel and Valina exclusively. Then at that point, yeah, just ignore Norma. At this point, some of you might be asking why any of this matters for free-to-play players, and does that somehow exclude non-free-to-play players? Is it specifically addressed towards a player who has 0 limited agents on their account, or to anyone? And honestly, the answer can get a little detailed if I start answering specific questions, but the general gist is still the same. By the point you reach in-game, your account is mathematically designed to have 3 mostly built teams ready to go. As I explained in my Season 3 new player guides, as long as you aren't rushing to the endgame in 6 days or some nonsense, you will be able to safely build enough characters to fill out 3 teams. With proper pool planning. In the tragic event you don't properly plan things, this is where Pyrois, Norma, and Nicole come into play heavily. With just 1 limited S-rank pool, you've already snagged yourself an endgame ready team before even reaching the endgame. This lets you save up anywhere near 40,000 polychromes or more, which roughly equates to somewhere between 2 other limited S-ranks and their signatures, some even guaranteed after pity loss. That's not including any free events, pools, gifts, selectors, the in-game rewards, or characters that we get in the future. So now, once you combine the Pyrois team, the other free-to-play team you can build from your standard selector, and whatever limited S-rank you plan to pull in the future, you can see how impactful this is to your account. For comparison's sake, I can use my own account again that's going for Remiel. If I didn't start back during Promea's banner to ensure I got her, and started closer towards Season 3, then I would need to pull Valina, her signature, Remiel, and her sig all back to back. At the pace I play the game, I wouldn't even be close to clearing the endgame for extra rewards yet, and there's definitely the possibility of losing a 50-50, which would hurt like hell. All of that for just 1 team on the board, while I force my Pyrois into some hypercarry team because it's all I have available to me. The opportunity cost of this plan is well over double compared to my normal one. All of that being said, this doesn't mean it's the easiest choice on the board. Even though I just explained all of that great stuff about Pyrois and Norma as a couple, there are still some major caveats to taking this route for what we can consider the average player. For starters, Pyrois is not the easiest DPS in the world to play. Despite him being free, he's surprisingly one of the most technical agents we've received in a while. Not on the levels of Bonway exactly, but definitely nowhere near as easy as like Arya and Piper. I assumed he would be relatively easy to pick up and play, and I can't say that I dislike the fact he isn't easy to play, but I understand that piloting Pyrois is already tough in its own right. So for me to then add Nicole into the mix, arguably one of the 2 most technical supports to pilot in the game, yeah, I can see that easily being a problem for players who aren't the most adept at execution in this game and don't have the time to practice. If they're looking for something a lot more plug and play, then it makes complete sense why an idea like this would be a struggle. There's also the comparison problem between Norma and Dialyn as a whole. After all of the playing in Annihilation Simulacrum and early access servers, it's clear that Norma is on par with Dialyn as a strong stun agent. At the same time, there's no clear winner on one being stronger than the other, and instead they kind of parallel each other. Where Dialyn is weak, Norma is strong, and where Norma is weak, Dialyn is strong. I'm putting weak in quotation marks there to emphasize that weak actually means less favorable matchups. For example, a character like Evelynn values both stun agents on the team, but whether or not she benefits from Norma or Dialyn completely depends on the matchup. Norma gives consistent chain attacks guaranteed, but Dialyn gives a free ultimate, which is equivalent to 2 chain attacks from Evelynn anyway, based on the multipliers alone. Take Ellen after that, right? Her chain attack is ass, so using Norma with her is still a decent damage option, but the actual benefit from getting extra chain attacks isn't better than Dialyn giving her access to a much stronger ultimate. I don't expect everyone to have both options though, especially a new player. So where does that leave us? Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Norma is just outright stronger than Dialyn, because that would be a lie. She isn't. Nobody's kit is just flat out better right now, and if you already have both, you're set for basically any matchup the game throws at you. But that's not the question most of you are actually asking. The question is, right now, with what I actually have access to, what's the most efficient pickup? And for that question, I honestly think Norma wins. Not because her numbers are bigger, but because she's the missing piece to a team you already own. Pyrois is free. Nicole is free. Norma is the one S rank standing between you and a fully built in-game viable team for the cheap cost of exactly 1 banner. Dialyn could potentially do that for you, but she's not here right now. Dialyn is an outstanding agent that works with over half the roster. Norma is a fantastic agent who already works with what you have for free and then some. That is the biggest difference right now, and for a free-to-play account trying to plan 2, 3, 4 patches ahead, the difference in guaranteed pull economy is everything. If your account is still deciding what its first real free-to-play friendly team looks like, Norma is most likely that team's last piece. And I don't think there's a stronger pickup available to you this patch or the next one. Now, I could be wrong, and for all I know, Dialyn shows up randomly in the next 3 weeks. I would highly suggest waiting a bit before you make that permanent decision on your account, unless you really want Norma. If you already have Dialyn built and the team around her, you're perfectly fine. Keep doing whatever it is that you're doing. But if you're on the fence, save your polychromes, and I don't know, maybe let Norma finish the team you didn't even realize you already had. That out of the way, I'm gonna get out of here. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later.